Yay! We are live. We are live. We are live. Awesome. Okay, so let me get out of all of my things that I have happening here. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing on this fabulous Tuesday? I hope that you guys had a fantastic week while I was gone, and too much good stuff didn't happen without anybody letting me know. So we are here with my good friend Tyler today, Tyler McCall. He is an Instagram freaking genius. We love him to pieces. He is fabulous, and he approaches Instagram in a way that I think is going to be very helpful and a new perspective for people in the wedding industry and the creative industry in general. Tyler is real. He's down to earth. He's not a bullshitter, and we know we love those. So please join me in welcoming him and making him feel at home and part of the family. He already, I'm sure, does, but let's really do that. Everyone's saying good morning, everybody. And here's Tyler.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. This is so great. Yay. I opened this up on my phone too, because I'm like, if I'm doing like a Facebook Live, I get so terrified because I'm like, can they see me? Can they see me or not? So I love it.
I know, me too.
Well, thanks so much for having me today, and thank you to everyone who's tuning in and watching live or watching the replay. Do you just want me to dive in?
Well, yeah. So quickly, just really tell us, let people know, how did you get into Instagram? Because it's, well, obviously, I mean, we all downloaded the app and then there we are. But how has your journey led you to, really being at the forefront of teaching people how to use Instagram properly? Like, where have you been?
Yeah. So my background is actually in the nonprofit world and in community and political organizing. That's what I did in my life before doing what I do now. And I was in the nonprofit world for about 6 years, and then also spent a couple of years doing community organizing and political organizing. I did local community field work, and then also started and ran a nonprofit for a while that helped LGBTQ communities in rural North Carolina,
Awesome.
All kinds of fabulousness. So toward the end of my nonprofit career, I don't know if anyone watching is maybe doing the side hustle thing while working at a nonprofit or has done the nonprofit thing before. Nonprofit work is very rewarding, but it's very exhausting. Burnout is high. And toward the end of my nonprofit career, I was burnt the F out. Like, I was over it. So I started doing the side hustle thing, and I had a handmade business back in 2015. I made a handmade room and linen spray called Mr. McCall's Fine Fragrances. It was fabulous, made with essential oils, all natural. I loved it. And the only way I marketed that bad boy was on Instagram. I didn't have any money any other way. I was literally like buying the bottles for the spray off of Amazon and then printing the labels at work on the copying machine, like after hours. It was like the hustle was very real back then.
Oh my God.
If you're watching and you're from the YMCA of Western North Carolina, please don't report me or be upset with me. So I was literally like, and then I had the trunk of my car was filled with this shit. Like, it was just all these boxes of fragrance. I would drive around. I would go to like little shops. I was living in Asheville, North Carolina at the time. I would go to little shops and take some little samples in and ask if they wanted to stock it. And they would be like, sure, we'll order like a dozen bottles, which was like, okay, cha-ching, like that's $70. Let's keep going.
Right.
And then I would go to trunk shows and craft fairs. And then I started an Instagram account. And this was back when like Instagram was kind of a lot of like bloggers, home decor folks, a few products, but no one knew what the heck they were doing on Instagram. And I slowly but surely built relationships on Instagram to sell this product. And all of my sales came from either those in-person things I was doing or Instagram. And this was at a really cool time where influencing was just kind of starting on Instagram. And I had people with tens, hundreds of thousands of followers who were posting about my product for free because I did the craziest thing on Instagram. And you may never guess what it was.
What? Tell me, go.
I built a relationship with these people. Like, that was it.
My God.
I literally just I know, right? It's like so simple. I engaged with their content. I commented on what they shared. I slid into their DMs when it felt appropriate, which DMing wasn't as much of a thing back then as it is now, which we may get into today. Like the DM is where it goes down nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started having conversations with these people. So when I launched Mr. McCall's, I could say, hey, I love your content. I feel like your followers would really love this thing that I made. I'd love to just send you some for free, just to check it out, try it out. Let me know what you think. And that was it. No obligation, no expectation. And I was just getting post after post after post, order after order after order from this. So fast forward to the end of 2016, I was actually, gosh, I forget my years now because I've been doing this so dang long.
Shh,
Um,
it's okay. A year ago.
I know, right? The end of 2015, I was like ready to go for my nonprofit job. I had it, and I started doing some more side hustling with social media management. There was a local shop in downtown Nashville that was carrying my Mr. McCall's product, and their Instagram was garbage. And I went in there and I said, "I love you. I love what you do. Your store is fantastic, but you are not doing a great job of marketing it. Can I run your Instagram account? I'll charge you $200 a month." And they were like, "Sure, why not? Go for it." I
Mm-hmm.
started running their Instagram account and slowly but surely started getting more clients doing social media management. So I was able to leave my full-time job at the beginning of 2016. So all of
Woo!
2016, I know, right? It was like the dream. It finally happened. So all of 2016, I was running a small agency with a really close friend. We were doing social media management and I was exhausted. I hated it. I was broke. I was broke doing this work. I didn't know what I was doing. At the end of 2016, my business partner and I sat down and she was like, "Listen, I love you, but I do not love this. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
interested in continuing this partnership. I want to go a completely different direction with what I'm doing." So 2017 started and this business that I built the year before was over and I was now on my own. So all of last year of 2017 was really this year of just exploring and figuring out what I was passionate about, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to show up online, how I could serve my community. And by the end of 2017, we opened the doors to the Follower to Fan Society, and
Woo!
I'm so incredibly grateful because that is the only thing I have to do now because it's the only thing I want to do. It's the thing I get to do now. Is help members of our community learn how to market online in a really genuine way.
Yes.
And I think what has really made the difference for me and how I'm able to approach Instagram in the way that I do is that I pull from a lot of experiences. I pull from the experience of having a handmade business and trying to market that online. I pull
Mm-hmm.
from the experience of marketing other people's products and services and businesses on their behalf online, working with local businesses, working with location independent businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
then I also pull from the experience of the nonprofit world and also community and political organizing, which I think is the most valuable experience I have because that really taught me the value of building relationship, of focusing on community, and of getting people passionate about something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of people are missing on Instagram is they're just creating content
Yeah.
to create content, but they're not creating content with a goal or objective in mind of how do I get these people who are following me passionate about what I'm doing? How do I get them to a place of being a raving fan where they will tell the world about me on my behalf for free? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of the work that I do nowadays on Instagram. What I teach folks inside Follower to Fan and what we talk about, it's not the quantity of followers, it's the quality. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the number of likes necessarily, it's the quality of the conversation you're having. Those are all the key things that we're following, that we're thinking about as we're creating content and growing our communities online.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, Tyler. Like, if I didn't already love you before, like, I love you even more now. Okay, I just want to keep you in my pocket and have you at all times. Okay,
Well,
thanks.
you can on your phone at Tyler J.
Yay!
McCall on Instagram.
So true. Oh my, but see, my phone doesn't really fit in my pocket. My pants pockets are too small. So oh my gosh, I love that so much. But it's like it's revolutionary, really, in how you go about things. But then again, it's not. It's it's a lost art. It's a lost art form. Connecting
It
with
really
people.
is. It really is. And, I talk a lot about, we talk about this in Follower to Fan and just in general, my entire marketing strategy is rooted in relational marketing. And this really goes back to like word of mouth marketing strategies, right? And direct sales marketing strategies, where it's all about talking directly to someone, identifying a need or a problem that they have, and then positioning your product or service as the solution that they need. And in doing that, you're also making sure that you are turning off the wrong people. Like you don't want people following you who aren't really interested in what you sell. And then you're also getting the right people really excited about what you sell. So when it comes time to make an investment in your product or service, the question isn't, how much is it or can I afford it? It's where do I send my money, right? Like how do I buy this thing because I need it so desperately? And when you are marketing from a place of relationship and from a focus on the quality of that relationship and having that communication with someone, selling becomes unnecessary, really,
Exactly.
because you're no longer selling to someone, you're serving them something that they really need. And for me, a lot of this comes through mindset shifts and better understanding how I'm showing up online and recognizing that the success of my business is really rooted in what happens between my ears, right? Like if I am, which is hard, it's hard, but when you take that responsibility and understand that when I'm responsible for my relationships, I'm responsible for my content, I'm responsible for putting myself out there, and I have to take responsibility in being active in marketing instead of being passive, which I see a lot of people doing, right? We take the pretty picture, we write the caption, we post it on Instagram, and then we sit back and wait for the customer or client to come to us instead of saying, okay, here's the content. Now I'm going to go out and pursue these people. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not about the hustle. It's not about, working until your eyeballs bleed. It's about really intentional engagement, taking that intentional action to connect with people. So then whenever you do show up in there as liking their post, right? And they come back to your feed, your content it's either beautiful or it's inspiring or it's educational or it's encouraging. And it's a no-brainer for them to engage with you and follow you and learn more about working with you.
Oh my gosh.
So again, we're taking it back to that relationship and inside Follower to Fan, as you know, because you're a member of Follower to Fan,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
baby.
we have this whole kind of system that we teach, and it all starts with your audience, right? We get crystal clear on who we're speaking to, and from there we can build the content strategy. And a lot of people go to the content first; they don't start with the audience. So that's something we talk about inside Follower to Fan. Yeah, it all starts with who you're trying to speak to. Okay, I feel like I've just been talking, I've been rambling on for a few minutes, so
No, I
I'm gonna
love it.
stop first.
No, literally, you have gotten more likes and more loves with you rambling than with me talking. So, honey, you're doing something right. You're good. You're good. But that's so, I do want to like just backtrack for one hot second because that is something, in talking about, you need to figure out who your audience is first, because if you don't know who you're speaking to, you're quite literally, when you're creating content, you're literally throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what can stick.
Exactly.
That's not how you're supposed to go about it. You should be alleviating some of the work for yourself. And that
Hmm.
comes with knowing your audience, just like you said. No,
Yeah.
your framework. See, I feel like so many people out there that are social media gurus or, Instagram gurus or whatnot, they talk about what techniques and tricks and tips have worked for them. But what they are
Hmm.
missing, because trust me, I am absolutely part of the sparkly squirrel syndrome club, and I love to like buy, 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 but I've gotten very good about not doing that anymore. But in the past, I would be like, oh my God, that sounds great, I'm going to buy it. And so, I purchased a lot of programs and courses and whatever to teach me these things. But one thing that I noticed that all of these um, you know like I said, programs and courses were lacking was framework, was an actual
Hmm.
set of steps to follow in order to make sure that you can't do anything but succeed. And
Hmm.
that is why I love Follower to Fan so much, because it's like a breath of fresh air. And for the people that are
Hmm.
very not even analytical, but just need to know the process of something. You know what I mean? Like they can't
Hmm.
just be told how to do it. They need to know why. You,
Hmm.
my friend, are the solution. You
Hmm.
are the freaking golden, statue of amazingness. Like, you are that person. So that's why I love you so much, is because you give a reason why. There's so many people out there that do the same thing as like, oh no, you need to blog, but they never have actually stopped and said why.
Yeah.
And so I remember last week when we did our mini workshop, so many people were mind blown about why we need to blog. It relates back to being found by SEO, and no one ever stopped to tell them that. And so it's just one of those crazy things. But anyway, now I'm rambling, and yay!
No, I love it.
At least we're in good company.
Yeah, I know. Ramblers Anonymous.
I love it. So, all right. So Tyler, obviously, you are in a group that is predominantly, many wedding industry professionals. We have, a wide array, though. We have a lot of people that are, bloggers, just strictly bloggers. We have people that are, VAs in here that help wedding professionals. So it quite literally is like anything and everything you can possibly think of. So many of us are, service-based. So I know that a lot of the questions that were posted earlier, oh my gosh, Karen, golden statue of amazingness. Sorry. I saw the comment pop up. That's too funny. Oh my gosh. How do they go about creating those relationships, and how do they go about cultivating a community on Instagram when they are more of a service-based than a product-based?
Okay. I love this question. And I want to challenge the belief that product-based businesses have it easier on Instagram, because I actually think they have it harder. I think it's easier for a service-based business to market on Instagram. Let me tell you why. Product-based businesses have a really easy thing to create content around, and that is their product. They also have a high likelihood of boring the shit out of their audience really quickly.
Yes.
Because your product is incredible. I applaud the work that you've done to create this beautiful product, to make this thing by hand, to have this beautiful thing manufactured, the intention that goes into it. I love all of that, and I applaud you for that hard work. However, no one cares as much about that product as you do. And what it tends to happen is product-based businesses will just post their product over and over again. And that gets really boring for our followers, because they don't understand how this fits into their life, or, if you're just a one-off product and they don't ever rebuy, they just like buy it once and then they keep following you, and you don't necessarily need them as a follower, all these things. As a service-based business, you actually have unlimited opportunity and potential, because you can talk about so many things related to the service that you provide. Let me give you a few examples of some of my favorite types of content we can create. And when I'm talking about content on Instagram, this works on your feed, this works on your stories, this works on Instagram Live. Across the board, this will work. So here are a few of my favorite types of content. The first is the story kind of background content. So for the service that you provide, tell me the background of why you decided to offer this specific service. So if you're a wedding photographer, for example, let's just take that. It's an easy one to work within. Mm-hmm. So tell me why you decided to be a wedding photographer. I don't want to know the story of like how you bought your Craigslist camera and all that stuff. I just want to know the why. Like, why did you get into this? What is it about weddings that attracted you? What is it about love that you love? Right? That's something that I want to know. And then I actually want to know your story. I want to know the history of you getting into photography. I want to know about your first wedding, the first wedding you shot, what went wrong, what went right. And then I want to know what you've learned since then and how you're different today than you were from that first wedding. I want to know about your favorite types of weddings to shoot. And I also want to know about the weddings that you don't like to shoot. That content is really important because, Lauren, you said this earlier, this idea of the audience and how this makes it easier for you to create content. I think when you know your audience, it makes it easier for your audience.
Yes.
Because they have this moment of encountering your content where they immediately know whether or not it's for them. And you want to turn off just as many, if not more people than people you're getting excited about what you do. Like, you want people to not follow you. You want people to be annoyed by your content. You want people to stop following you. You want people to shit talk you to other people about how they don't like your content or what you're doing, because that means without a shadow of a doubt that you're talking to the right people. So tell me about your favorite wedding. Tell me about your least favorite wedding. Tell me about your couples, but do it in a way where you tell me about the experience of being with them on their wedding day. I don't want to know about the beautiful meal or the golden hour, any of those things. I want to know about the experience of being with them, right?
Oh, I love you so hard. Please go on. God.
And then I want you to feature your couples and allow them to tell their story of the experience of you being a part of their wedding day. See, as a wedding photographer, you spend the most time with a couple on their wedding day. The most time. People are not hiring you for the photos. It's never been about the photos. People are hiring you for two reasons. Because the first thing is they want some kind of visual representation of that day. They want that memory. They want to be able to remember that. The other reason they're hiring you, and you specifically, is because they want to spend their wedding day with you. And there's different personalities in the world. Maybe you feel like you're really shy and awkward. Someone's going to resonate with that. Maybe you feel like you're really talkative and you're really grandiose. That's going to resonate with someone. Maybe you're a quiet little sweet little rabbit and you don't really talk to anyone and you're just like the kindest little thing on the earth. That's going to resonate with a couple. Maybe you want to go on a hike with them and take photos on the edge of a cliff. That's going to resonate with people, right? But they need to see you. They need to understand you. They want to connect with you. And what happens in the wedding profession, and y'all, listen, I built my business by supporting and helping people in the wedding profession. I love you. I care so much about what you do. However, let me put my butt in here. Wedding pros tend to come from a place of just creating the beautiful content and expecting the work to flow to them without doing any of the other work that needs to happen. And at the end of the day, you are a business. You're a wedding professional, but you are a business. That means that you need to take ownership of the marketing of your business. You need to take ownership of your brand story, and you need to be proactive in how you're showing up online. That also means you need to recognize the fact that while Instagram, Facebook, Wedding Wire, whatever, are amazing places that allow you to connect with your dream clients, nothing will ever beat the value of in-person connections and referrals for your business. Referrals are the lifeblood of the wedding industry. So if you are setting up your business where you are in this little silo and all you're doing is posting pretty pictures on Instagram, that business can't grow because you need relationships. You need real in-person networking relationships with people who serve people that you want to serve as well. So that's another really important. And here's the thing, Instagram can allow you to do that. You can find those people on Instagram. You can pursue those relationships. You can like their content. You can comment. You can get into their DMs. You can ask them to coffee. You can do all of that on Instagram. But those relationships are just as important, if not more important, than trying to nail down that ideal couple on Instagram. I had a conversation recently with a member and follower to fan, and we were talking about this idea of trying to nail down your ideal client on Instagram for a wedding pro. And I'll be honest, it's hard work because you're trying to attract a very specific type of person at a very specific time in their life, right? We have 3 to 6 months after the proposal when those vendor decisions are being made. So we have 3 to 6 months to nail down that dream couple who appreciate dark and moody adventure elopement photos, right? Like in the grand scheme on the planet, that may be like a few thousand people at a time. So instead of trying to be so obsessive over, oh my gosh, I just want to connect with my dream customer on Instagram. I just want to get to my dream bride on Instagram, which I hear so many people saying they want to do, and so many people selling you programs that tell you they will do that, but not recognizing the fact that math says that is going to take a ton of work. Why don't we build content? Why don't we build a presence online that resonates with that person and anyone that is connected to that person? And then why don't we spend the time developing real relationships with people who serve those people as well? So when that person is looking for someone to do their hair, and they find them, that person that does hair knows you as the makeup artist, or the makeup artist knows you as the photographer, or the photographer knows you as the videographer. That's where these relationships come into play. That's why it's so, so important. And I really think social media, and I love social media. I think it's a valuable thing. As a wedding professional, you need to be online. You need to be active on social media. People need to be able to find you. They need to be able to see your work. They need to be able to understand your personality. They need to be able to hear your story. They need to be able to connect with you. At the same time, social media does not replace relationships, in-person networking, and referrals for your business. It just doesn't. It can't, and it never will. It never, ever will, because those relationships and those referrals are so, so, so important for getting people to you and your business. All right, let me hop off my soapbox and get a sip of water.
Yes. I'm like just mind blown, because this is literally, Tyler, like, this is what I try so hard to cultivate within our little community here, because it really is. It's about the relationships with people. It's about the connection, and everything else will follow suit. But if you're not doing those, basic things right out of the gate, then it's going to be a struggle, and then you're going to be asking yourself, well, where's my next client coming from? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I going to be able to eat this month? So, it really is. So how then? That's the real question.
Yeah.
How do they do this?
Yes. Okay. So the first thing is to recognize that, and here's the thing, you've probably been told by others and other programs and other free webinars, whatever, that there's just a simple formula for this, right? Like, you post this photo with this caption, or use this fill in the blank caption and put this here. And the thing is, it's not true. It's not true. Because Instagram is very niche specific. It's a place where you have to have this really strong understanding of who you're speaking to and what you're saying to them, and it has to be in a way that is kind of like niched down and very specific to what you're doing. So that means that you need to get, first of all, the first step is getting crystal clear on who you're speaking to, and think about them in a way that takes into account their values. So this is one of the first things we do inside Follower to Fan and inside our training system, is getting really clear on your audience's values. So there's a few ways we can do this. The first way is to survey past clients. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. Call them, go to coffee, get them on Skype, have them over for a glass of wine, and just talk to them about, hey, tell me, first of all, why you hired me. Also, y'all, quick little note, if you do not have a how you found me or why you hired me question on your initial client survey, questionnaire, contract, go add that freaking question right now.
Yes!
If you're watching the replay, pause this, go into your Dubsado or Honeybook or Google Form and add this question. If you're watching this live, make a note. You need to go do this right now. You need to be collecting data and information. Everything in your business is just data. Everything is just data. And that is the data that you use to inform how you market, what you offer, how you price, all those things. If you're not collecting this data, you are flying blind, okay? Right. So you need to ask, why did you hire me? What was it? Why did I stand out to you against other people? Was it the price? Was it the photo? Was it the captions you read? Was it meeting me in person for our in-person consult? What was it? Why did you hire me? You need to ask them what it was like to spend time with you on their wedding day, or what it was like to eat the food you made, or eat the cake that you made, or have your hair done by, whatever it may be. You need to ask some of those questions. And here's the other thing. I want you to spend some time, kind of ranking your clients. Who were your dream clients that you loved working with, and who are the nightmares? And are there any characteristics of those types of clients that you can make sure you are not speaking to, or you are speaking to in the future, right? So use this history of kind of who you've worked with before. If you haven't worked with anyone, if you're brand new, hey, use your brain and do some daydreaming. Come up with some concepts or some ideas or some scenarios of what a dream client would be like and what a nightmare client would be like. And then start thinking about their values, what's important to them. And as you're doing this work, and I walk folks through this entirely inside Follower to Fan, as you're doing this, you may start recognizing that your values and your client's values are the same. And that may be true. However, they mean different things to different people. So you have to get really clear on that.
I love you so hard, Tyler. I love you so hard. Please. It's like, I feel like literally like you are just an echo. So just continue on. This is the best echo I've ever heard. Go, go, go.
Okay, good. So get crystal clear on who you're trying to talk to. Okay, that's the first step. The next thing we need to get really clear on is our objective. So what are we trying to accomplish on Instagram? And I want to challenge you, if I say, what do you want to accomplish on Instagram? And the first thing you say back to me is, I want more sales, then I want to unpack that a little bit, because we need to recognize that if you are a wedding photographer and you're selling a $2,000 to $10,000 photography package, that's not going to sell through one single interaction on Instagram.
No.
It takes some work to build this relationship. So something we do inside Follower to Fan is we get really clear on your conversion metric. So we call it the conversion factor. What is the conversion factor that you want to track? You can track it for a week, a month, a quarter, a year. I'm a big fan of tracking and looking at trends on a quarterly basis, because my background, I studied psychology and I studied statistical analysis. So I know that we can't start making big decisions on like a week's worth of data. And Lauren, you know this in Follower to Fan, I would like go the F off on people. I did it a few weeks ago because I was like, y'all chill the F out with my likes are down today compared to yesterday posts. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
No,
it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, God.
Calm down. Jeez Louise. So we need to get clear on our objective and that conversion factor, because we need to measure this somehow. So that may be, I just want to convert more people to followers, or I just want to convert more followers to commenters, or I just want to get more people in my DMs, or I just want to get more people watching or sticking around for my Instagram story. There's no right or wrong here. You decide what that key factor is, and that's going to influence your content. And then start thinking of this path. We call it an Instagram sales funnel. This path of how we get someone from a random person on Instagram to like our content, to follow us, to engage with what we're saying, to inquire about what we're selling, right? It's kind of the path we need to take them on. How can we insert content into these different areas to build that relationship? So get clear on that objective. The next thing we need to do is clarify our story. So here's something I want to point out. I've been walking you through this process of Instagram, and we have not yet talked about your photo. We've not talked about your caption. We haven't talked about your hashtags, because all of that stuff is the easy stuff on Instagram. Yes. That's the easy stuff. Yes. Actually, what we teach inside Follower to Fan, once you get clear on those things, I teach you a planning system where you can actually plan out a month's worth of content in less than an hour. It is done. It's mapped out. You know what's going where, when, because your effort and your energy needs to go into engaging outside of your account and hashtags and locations and places like that on Instagram, liking and commenting and following people and having those conversations with people. That's where your real energy needs to go, not on fretting over, am I going to post this picture or that picture today or tomorrow, right? Like that's not the most important work on Instagram. So we get really clear on our story. What is your unique brand story? What is your unique selling proposition? How can you show up in a way that is true and authentic and genuine to you? Then from there, we can create your brand voice for Instagram. We can create your visual identity for Instagram. We can create your posting schedule and your posting habits. Then we can go out and engage and get new followers. But we can't get new followers. We can't connect with people to attract them back to our account until we've done all of that other work. And I see a lot of people who are just wondering why they're not growing, or why they're not getting more followers, or people who are even doing the engagement work that we teach inside Follower to Fan, and they're engaging intentionally, but their following isn't growing. But you can't expect your following to grow if you don't have quality content to bring them back to. Mm-hmm. And when I say quality content, I don't necessarily just mean a pretty photo. I mean, the photo is important. Instagram is a visual platform. But Instagram isn't a photo sharing app. It's a storytelling app. It always has been, and it always will be. And that means that you have to have a great photo. And if you can't take a photo yourself, buy a stock photo or hire a photographer. I'm sure there's a few in this group that you could work with to
Mm-hmm.
have photos taken for you and your brand, or partner with other people to use photos, or use free stock photos from a site like Pexels or another free stock site. There are options out there, but uh, get a great photo. Make sure it's in line with your brand identity. Make sure the colors or the edit looks consistent for what you want on your feed. And then put your energy into writing captions that are either inspiring or encouraging or educational, something again that is of value to your followers. Then you can actually go out and engage with people to bring them back to your account. But we can't even create the content until we know our story, and we can't come up with our story until we know our objective, and we can't define our objective until we know who the heck we're talking to. So it's a process, and it builds on itself.
It really does. Oh my God. This is what isn't spoken about. These elements, this course of action, because everybody just wants quick results. They just want quick
Mm-hmm.
results, and they think that the money is in the number of followers you have. You know, they look to Jenna Kutcher, and I mean, she's incredible, but she followed a very similar course of action, guys. Like, she didn't
Mm-hmm.
just become the Oprah of the wedding industry, you know,
Mm-hmm.
overnight. She had to, you know, a plan to get there. So it's one of those things that, you know, unfortunately, it isn't a quick fix. It's not something that you can just
Mm-hmm.
say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, post this and it's gonna look great and whatever. You know, and
Yeah.
so it's just so funny that you talk, you know, we are on the same page with so many things. And the audience, I actually was contemplating creating an ideal client challenge for people, and you know, just
Mm-hmm.
having something where because I just got back from Disney, and it was funny because as I was in Disney with my screaming children, it was great because I was looking at all of these characters, and like it immediately clicked for me that all of these characters have different personalities, but that's so similar to clients that we work with, and that's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
who would I jive best with? You know, the best Disney character. What characteristics does that character hold? Are they, you know, sassy and grumpy? Are they sweet and, you know, kind? And, you know, it's one of those things. So I was thinking about putting together a challenge, but I think that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to afterwards. But yeah, oh God, this is such good stuff.
And I want to touch on something too that you said. And
Yeah.
so I heard Natalie Frank say this about almost a year ago, and it really connected with me. Is She said, stop trying to replicate what people like her are doing on Instagram. So a lot of times what I see people doing is they'll look at Natalie or they'll look at Jenna Kutcher, or they'll even look at my account, and they'll just try and replicate it exactly. Use the same hashtags, post the same type of content.
Exactly.
But we're trying to attract different people. So the thing is, like, you don't need to be me on Instagram. You don't need to be Jenna Kutcher on Instagram,
Right.
because we are at different phases in our business and our life than you may be in your business, which means we're trying to attract different people. I want wedding professionals to follow me on Instagram. So I may use or engage in a lot of wedding hashtags. But for you, if you want your ideal customer or client to follow you, or if you want to connect with people in your city or your region to work with, then using hashtag beautiful bride or hashtag wedding Wednesday or whatever like that may not really help you as much in the long run, because it's just filled with other wedding folks and it's not really specific to what you're trying to do. So that's why, like, getting really clear on who we're trying to attract and kind of where they are and what they need from us, that can influence our content, that can influence our hashtags, that influences our engagement strategies, all of those things. Because you don't need to try and be like what Jenna Kutcher's doing. She's
Right.
she's attracting totally different people nowadays. She's
Mm-hmm.
not trying to attract brides anymore.
Right.
And she shoots a few weddings a year, and she's not having to market for those people to find her, right? Like they
No.
already know she exists.
Yep.
So her energy and effort is going into attracting folks like you and I who are building businesses that use the internet as a part of our business. So she's doing something totally different. So that means that you need to not replicate what someone else is doing. Instead, follow a framework like what we have in Follower to Fan, or whatever resonates best with you,
Exactly.
that you can get really clear on these key parts of your business. And here's the other thing is Instagram is not a marketing strategy. Okay. Instagram is a channel. It is like one piece of a puzzle that goes into marketing your business. And while we talk about your audience and your objective and your voice and your values and your vision, all of those things, those are all brand elements that should be consistent throughout the entire experience of your business on your website, on your Instagram, on your blog, on your in-person interaction, your business cards, all of these things. It's this consistent experience for people so they get this complete picture of who you are, what you do, and why you do it. We just talk about it through the lens of Instagram because that is the platform that people are using as kind of the first step in getting people into their business. But there's a lot more than just Instagram. All right. So I see a lot of people who get obsessive over just the Instagram thing and think like that's the be all end all for their business. Instagram's a vitally important platform. It's a key thing, and it's the most engaging social platform. That's why I love it. However, there's a lot more that goes into this overall picture for what you're doing to market your business online and in person. So don't lose sight of that.
I love that because Tyler, where have you been all my life? Oh my God. But it's so true. And it is just one component. It's one facet of your business. Don't let it consume your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the relationships, it's the referrals, it's the type of community that you have going. And regardless of how you cultivate that, you have to cultivate that. So Instagram is just one means to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I love that so much. So, I mean, I have like a million questions that I could ask. So, how do people then, because I feel like you've almost given them a new lens to kind of put on their camera for their business. How do they go about finding hashtags, let's say, that would be pertinent to their ideal audience? How do they do that without, replicating what this person is doing? How do they find ones that are, poignant to them?
So again, it goes back to our audience. So getting clear on kind of how we're going to find these people and recognizing that hashtags have two main purposes. The first purpose is the thing that most people think of, and that is that hashtags allow people to find you and your content, which is true. Hashtags do that. However, hashtags don't do that as much as they used to. So the conversation we would have on Instagram a year and a half ago would have been very hashtag focused. Hashtags were really the mechanism by which people could find us. They could engage with our content. However, what's happened on Instagram now is that so many things have changed on the platform and how people are using Instagram and how people are consuming and creating content, that people finding you through a hashtag isn't as pervasive as it was before. So that means now our focus should be on what hashtags can we engage with to go find more of our ideal people on Instagram. So as you're coming up with hashtags, there's kind of a few things that we like to think about. The first is my ideal person here? Like, are they either using this hashtag or are they following this hashtag, or could they end up in this hashtag? And the second thing is, do I want to be associated with this content? Because there's a lot of hashtags out there that people may use that are just really crappy hashtags that you don't want to be a part of. Like, for example, it's something I would encourage your folks who are watching to do is after this, or pause this if you're watching the replay, and go look up hashtag entrepreneur on Instagram. It's trash. It is so tacky. It's filled with terrible content. It's filled with a lot of like quote images, a lot of like cars and stacks of money and like ladies in bikinis. It's like none of it is like related to entrepreneurship. Yes, it's very troubling. But that's a hashtag that you think like, oh, well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I should use hashtag entrepreneur. Well, probably not. It's not the right hashtag for you. So is my person here, and do I want to be associated with this content, are really the first two questions to ask. And then use the hashtags. Use hashtags on your post. It's a great way to be found. They still work. Okay, whatever you've heard about shadow banning or hashtags not working, it's not true. It's just the fact that people aren't engaging and consuming content in the feed as much as they did before. Instagram is about stories now.
Yeah.
Instagram stories, like that's really where it's all happening now. But use the hashtags. But more importantly than that, pick hashtags that you want to engage with, where you want to have conversations, where you want to go into those accounts that are using those tags and you want to like, you want to comment, you want to follow if the content is right for you, and consume the content that way. And so for example, like if you are if you serve people locally, if you're very location dependent, then you want to use a lot of location specific hashtags, a lot of city hashtags, state hashtags. Try abbreviations, try making words plural, try shortening words, try lengthening words. Try using area codes or zip codes, all these different types of things you can do to test out different hashtags. And when I'm doing my hashtag research, I do it in Instagram. I don't use an app. I don't use a website. I do it in Instagram because Instagram is going to recommend related hashtags. And it's also going to give you that really quick overview of how large a hashtag is. So that's the other thing is hashtag entrepreneur has millions of posts in it, and it's just way too many. Inside Follower to Fan, we kind of talk about that sweet spot for hashtags. But really you want to look for hashtags that aren't super overly active where your content's going to get lost too quickly is what it comes down to.
I just am speechless every single time afterwards because I'm like, it's just such a breath of fresh air. It really, really, really is, because I feel like so much energy and time and, it just can consume you in trying to figure out and navigate your way through, utilizing this tool, that we all have. But to actually hear, Tyler, when you first started, let me ask you this, because I think some people, they may not follow you yet. You want to after this, I guarantee you. Obviously, your Instagram account started at 0, just like all of us. How long did it take you? Where are you at now for followers? For all the people that are still stuck on the number of followers, how many followers do you have on Instagram?
16,000.
Oh my God. Okay, and how long did it take you to see that kind of growth? How long did the building the community and the relationships, how many months, how many years did it take?
So I have been using Instagram from a business perspective to market myself and what I do since kind of mid 2016. So almost 2 years. Okay. So at that point I had I don't know, maybe like a few hundred followers who are friends and family. And then it's grown since then. So almost 2 years from then to the 16,000. Most of my growth came, a lot of it came toward the end of last year. And then again, beginning of this year. Something you need to know is if you are in the line, I don't know, Lauren, if you have anyone in your group who's like a course creator, coach, consultant, anyone like that who operates a launch-based business, but sidebar, but if you're in a launch-based business, launching grows your community exponentially. The other thing is, if anyone in this space right now is an educator, speaker, or wants to pursue education or speaking, the visibility side of your business is really important. It's really the lifeblood of your business. I'm in a place in my business right now, and I'm so grateful for what I've been able to build. And I'm so proud to say that, I have a multiple 6-figure business. We'll do multiple 6 figures this year. And here's the thing, I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. I don't have tens of thousands of people on a mailing list. I just have my community that I speak directly to, and I show the F up across the internet. I'm not always on. I don't allow it to consume me, but when I'm there, I'm there. And I'm present and I'm available for people. And that's we were just talking about that before we started this call. It is a boundary that sometimes it's a muscle you got to work on building, and you got to tear it a few times to build it back up. Those boundaries of life and work and being online as a person versus being online as a business, all those things, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes practice. But I don't have all of these things that other people have. I just have my community that I speak directly to. And then I just stay very visible, very, very visible in my business. Podcasting, Facebook Live, and none on my own. I don't do any of this on my own. It's all connecting with other people and allowing me to speak into their audience's life with education and value and inspiration. And that's how I've been able to do it. So it takes time. Social media is a long game. Marketing your business online is a long game. Okay, this is not a flash in the pan. And here's the thing with that too is if you are in business to make a quick buck, then you probably don't need to be in this group. You definitely don't need to be inside Follower to Fan Society. Like it's not what I'm here for. But if you're in this because you want to build a legacy, if you're in this because you want to have impact, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. And there's this really popular concept online I've heard talked about recently, and my business mentor James Wedmore talks about this, and some other folks I follow talk about this. Is if you take your Instagram account for example, if you only have 100 followers, and all of your effort and energy is going to getting more followers, think about how much of a difference it will make if you just put half of that effort into engaging with 100 people who are already there. Just serving those 100 people really, really well, having conversations with those 100 people, getting to know them, learning their name, figuring out where they're from, figuring out where they are in life, figuring out what content you can create to best serve them. And you better believe that those 100 people are going to be loyal and devoted to you and what you do. And they're going to tell more people about you, and they're going to buy your products and book your services. So why are we putting so much energy and effort and so much obsession on trying to get more, instead of just recognizing that we have a lot of people who are already right here? Maybe 10 people, maybe 100 people, maybe 1,000 people. But I would much rather spend that time engaging intentionally with the people who have already shown up than trying to go out and attract more people. That's exhausting work. That can be really tiring. We had a great conversation a few months ago inside our Follower to Fan Society. We were doing a hot seat call, and one of our members was saying something like she was frustrated. She had grown her Instagram from like 800 to 1,600 in a couple of months inside Follower to Fan. And she was frustrated. She wanted more people. And my partner, Eric, who works with me in our business, he was watching and he jumped into the chat box and he said, how would it feel if you walked into a room and 1,600 people were sitting there waiting to hear from you? How would that feel, right? That's all you need. That's all you need. Like, why are you obsessed? What is one more person? What is one more follower? If you walked into a room and 1,600 people were sitting there waiting to hear from you, think about what that would do for your life and your business.
I know I can already get the sense that a lot of people, because of the nature of the beast of being in the wedding industry, there is a high turnover rate. Because once you're done with a client, you got to find a new one. But what I think that so many people fail to recognize and truly embrace is the fact that if you have done a good job of building a community, if you have really cultivated that, they're going to sing your praises to anybody and everybody that they know. So the clients will still continue to come. So don't worry about having to continue to grow your following to get the new clients. No, just the opposite. Continue to show up for the people that have already hired you and do a stellar job of serving and being hospitable to them. They're going to literally do the work for you. But I think so many people get so scared that they're not going to talk about them. No, it's just the opposite.
Yes.
One quick question that someone just asked. Do you recommend having separate accounts for business and personal?
Oh, great question. So whatever account you're going to use to market your products or services needs to be focused solely on that audience and that purpose. So but here's the thing, it doesn't need to be so stripped down that it's just business. Like, it needs personality in there. You need to be there. So the thing I typically ask people is, do you feel the need to have a space on Instagram where you can post pictures of your kids, your dogs, your food, and you want that to be part of what you're doing. If so, then that needs to be a separate kind of personal account that you maybe keep private or you just share with your friends or whatever it may be. If you don't feel the need to do that, I don't really feel the need to do that, then you can have an account that's dedicated to your business. It also depends on whether or not your business is a personal brand or personality based business, or if it is more of a kind of business entity. For example, I'm a personal brand. I'm Tyler J. McCall. I have the Follower to Fan Society. As a personal brand, if you encounter my content online, I talk about Instagram, but I also talk a lot about life, business, lifestyle, because discussing those things is a way in which people better understand what I do, my approach to business, and the type of life that I'm able to live because of my business, right? So that's kind of all kind of tied together there. So that, if that's where you are with your business, that may be what you want to do. If you're going to have an account that's for your business, if you're going to market a product or service online, make that account specific to that thing. And also you need to upgrade to an Instagram business profile. And I know there's folks out there who will disagree with me on this. However, you cannot market without that profile because you do not know what you're doing. You don't know what's working. Yeah, you don't have the data to make any decisions. So you really do need that business profile.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's so on point. So Tracy, to even go further with that, if you really focus and, if you are your brand, that's the difference between if you are separate from your brand. Like for me, when I was in Disney, I am my brand. I mean, I am, the wedding boss. I am, the business side of things. I, had some stories on there of my trip in Disney. But if I were still actively planning weddings, well, at the end of the season I can say that, but if I were still actively planning weddings, would I have put my family, on Instagram stories? Probably not, because that brand was more business-esque, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, that's such a great point. Oh my God, Tyler, I can't believe it's already time is here. You've already been on with me for an hour, and I feel like I could literally sit and chat with you all day. This has been so helpful, but I think on the flip side, I think so many people weren't expecting this. You know what I mean? I think that so many people were expecting the tips and the tricks and the, how to get seen quickly and, build their following. But what so many people in that mindset are lacking is the framework in which to do so. And so, I would highly encourage you guys to, follow Tyler on Instagram. Tyler, what's your Instagram handle?
At Tyler J. McCall.
Perfect. I will be entering all this information into the podcast replay on the website so you guys can have easy access to that. But absolutely, check him out the next time. Is Follower to Fan even open right now? I'm in it and I don't even know.
Yeah, so you can actually, just for a limited time, we actually have a 30-day trial available. So if you go to tylerjmccall.com/trial, you can get a 30-day trial for $30 when you start your monthly membership to Follower to Fan Society.
Love that. And that is exactly how I joined. It was Tyler's birthday, and I had to weed out all of the clutter and the chaos that I had going on, all the courses and the subscriptions and everything. I needed to just really narrow it down and, hone in and focus on what was going on with my own business. And so then I was ready, and it was like the perfect time. And I'll be totally honest, I haven't even begun to scratch the surface on what Tyler offers in this group, guys. But that is my goal for June, is to actually really dive in. But even just the little bit I have, done, it's been a total game changer. I mean, it really truly has in all facets of my business. So Tyler,
Hmm.
I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, it's just the
Of
beginning.
course.
It's just the
Yeah, well,
beginning.
thank you. And I always say that and I'm sure other people say this about their communities too, but I literally think we have the most supportive like Facebook group on the planet.
Really,
Um,
really, truly, it is. It's one of the best I think I've ever seen.
yeah.
Truly.
It's such an engaging, supportive, encouraging place. So, we have members who come in, they like bust through the framework and get all the curriculum done, and then I mean, they're still there because that
Yeah.
community is so encouraging. It's such a valuable place to be, and we need relationships to make this business thing work, and um, working from home is great. Working by yourself is great. Being able to rock that yoga pant lifestyle is pretty magical.
However,
Um, However, let me get my butt in there. Um, you need people to cheer you on. You need people to call you out on your bullshit. You need people to answer your questions and support you and cry with you and yell with you and complain about things with you. So I know
exactly.
Follower to Fan provides that for a lot of our members, and I'm just so grateful that the people who are part of this community are so passionate about making it what it is. I just love
Yes.
that so much.
And that's I think another reason why I love it so much myself is because it's so reminiscent of what I have happening and we have going on here in our community.
Hmm.
It's it's a safe place. I always say that. If you're going to bring negative, bullshit energy and, knock somebody down, you're getting your ass kicked out faster than tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
it is we have to embrace and support each other. And so that's why your community too, it's a safe place and I love that. But thank you so much, Tyler, for
of
joining
course.
us. I will make sure that I drop all of your information so that people can follow you. If they have any questions, what's the easiest way to reach out to you? DM on Instagram? Hey.
Yeah, on Instagram. Instagram's the best place to make it all happen. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
love
And
it.
if you can also check out tylerjmccall.com. We have some free content over there as well. So some free downloads, all that good stuff that you
You
can
have a
you can grab
great
as
one
well.
all about the engagement season. I remember that from like a
Yes.
year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put that back up. We'll start promoting that back in the fall. So,
Yeah.
most, I think 8 out of the top 10 most days when people are getting engaged the most often are between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day. So we've created this really helpful guide that kind of walks you through how to get your Instagram account ready for that time of year and then how to find those recently engaged couples as quickly as possible. So yeah, we'll have that back up toward the end of 2018.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Tyler, a million thank yous. Um,
Yeah,
and I
thank you
hope
for
you
having me.
guys enjoyed our time with Tyler. Be sure you thank him if you have any questions. Reach out. But next week we will be chatting with Brittany Berger, a really good friend of
Oh,
mine.
love her.
I know. Can we have like a threesome? Can that be like? Can you just like hop on in? I don't even know. I don't even remember what we're chatting about. We're chatting about something. Oh, content, recycling content. Want to come in?
Yes, I love it. No,
You could be like,
we have these monthly master classes and Follow to Fan, and she did a whole master class on content marketing. It's incredible. It's so
yes.
great
She's such a good.
with
Oh my
lots of
gosh.
like television and pop culture references, which I love.
I know. She is one of my biz besties. I friggin' love her so
Yeah.
much. So yeah, that is going to be next week. But I hope this was helpful for everyone, and we will be seeing you next week. Yay! So have a fabulous rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be chatting with you all soon. Bye, guys.